Good morning, students. So this is physics, class 12th, chapter number 5 and lecture number 4. And in this lecture, we shall study about the classification of magnetic materials. Okay. So on the basis of magnetic properties, substances are classified into three different substances, that is diamagnetic substances, paramagnetic substances and ferromagnetic substances. We'll be studying all these substances one by one. So let us start with the diamagnetic substances. Okay, so diamagnetic substances are those which when placed in external magnetic field, they get feebly magnetized in a direction opposite to magnetizing field. That is, whenever you place a diamagnetic substance in external magnetic field, it will get magnetized in the direction opposite to that magnetic field, and that is feebly magnetization, that is very less magnetized. Okay, so we can say whenever a diamagnetic substance is placed in external magnetic field, it gets feebly magnetized in a direction opposite to the direction of magnetic field. Feebly here means less. Okay, an example of diamagnetic substances are gold and silver. So now let us understand what is the concept behind this magnetization of diamagnetic substances. So we'll discuss about two cases when no external magnetic field is there and when magnetic field is there. Okay, so now first of all, in diamagnetic substances we have paired electrons. Okay, so these are two paired electrons which are moving in opposite directions. Okay, so because they are paired, obviously they will be having opposite spin movement. Okay, so now this case is for when we have no external magnetic field. Okay, so now this electron is moving. Can you tell what will be the direction of magnetic moment? If you will use your right hand thumb rule, your thumb will point in upward direction due to anti-clockwise direction. But as you know, electron is a negative charge. So if your thumb is pointing in upward direction, that means magnetic moment is downward. Okay, similarly here, when you will rotate your fingers in clockwise direction, your thumb will point downward, but electron is a negative charge. So that means magnetic moment will be upward. Okay, so now you can see as these magnetic moments are equal and opposite, so they will cancel each other. So we can say when no external magnetic field is there, the net magnetic dipole moment is zero of diamagnetic substances. Okay, now we will see what happens if we place this material in an external magnetic field. Okay, so now this substance is placed in external magnetic field. Again, these are two electrons which are revolving in opposite direction. Okay, and now the external field is applied in downward direction. Okay, due to this electron, magnetic moment is in this direction. Due to this electron, magnetic moment is in this direction. Okay, this we have already seen. Now look here clearly. When this electron will rotate and come here, its velocity will point in this direction. Magnetic field is in this direction. Now you can use your right hand palm rule. Magnetic fields are in downward direction. Okay, and my thumb is giving you the velocity of this electron, and my palm is pointing inward to the circle, I can say. So that means force should be inward, but again electron is a negative charge, so that means force will act outwards. Similarly, for this case, you can use your right hand palm rule. Your palm will point outwards, but again because electron is a negative charge, the force will be inwards. Okay, so now in this case, see, this force is pointing in a direction opposite to centripetal force because centripetal force directs towards the center. So if this force is pointing in a direction opposite to the centripetal force, that means this velocity will decrease. Yes, so let us suppose this velocity decreases to v minus del v. And if velocity is decreasing, that means magnetic moment will also decrease. So let us suppose that becomes m minus del v. Okay, due to the effect of velocity, magnetic moment will come to be m minus del v. Similarly here, because this force is pointing in the direction of centripetal force, therefore the velocity will increase. So we can say velocity will come to be v plus del v, and as a result magnetic moment will come to be m plus del m. Okay, so that is, it has initially m, but now for this electron it will become m minus del m, and it will become m plus del m. Okay. Okay, so if I calculate net dipole magnetic moment, then it will be m minus del m minus m plus del m because they are in opposite direction. So net will come to be minus 2 del m. Minus sign is showing you here that this magnetic moment, net magnetic moment, is in the direction opposite to magnetic field, external magnetic field. Okay, and so we can say this 2 del m is the induced dipole moment due to the external magnetic field, and it is in opposite direction of magnetic field. So it is proved from here, when you put a diamagnetic substance in external magnetic field, it gets magnetized but in opposite direction of magnetic field. Okay. Okay, so now we'll discuss about the properties of these diamagnetic substances. Okay, so first property is that they have tendency to move from stronger parts of the field to weaker parts. This is obviously clear because they are getting magnetized in opposite direction. So obviously they will move from stronger part of the field to weaker part. Second is magnetic field lines prefer not to pass through the diamagnetic substance. Okay, to explain this, let us draw a diagram. Look at this diagram. Suppose this is a diamagnetic specimen which I have kept in external magnetic field. Now these magnetic field lines will prefer not to pass through it because this diamagnetic substance will get magnetized in opposite direction. So these magnetic field lines will not pass through this diamagnetic substance. Okay. Okay, so the third property is magnetic permeability, relative magnetic permeability, that is mu r, is less than 1 for diamagnetic substances. So how we can prove it? Now you know mu r is mu upon mu naught, and you also know B is equals to mu h and B is equals to mu naught h. So from here you can write down mu upon mu naught to be B upon B naught. Okay, so B naught is, we have taken the magnetic field outside, and B is the magnetic field inside this specimen. So now can you tell which one is greater? Because magnetic field lines are not passing through the specimen, that means B naught, which is outside, B naught is greater than B. So B naught is greater than B, that is outside magnetic field is greater than inside magnetic field for this diamagnetic specimen. So from here you can say if B naught is greater than B, that means mu r will be less than 1. Okay. Okay, so the fourth property is, now you know mu r is 1 plus chi m. So chi m will come to be mu r minus 1. So if mu r is less than 1, according to third property, then chi m will come to be negative. So chi m is small and have a negative value for diamagnetic substances. Okay, so the last property is that chi m, that is susceptibility, is independent of temperature. Okay, for diamagnetic substances again. Okay. Okay, so the next is paramagnetic substances. Okay, so these are just opposite to that of diamagnetic substances. That is, when they are placed in external magnetic field, they get feebly magnetized but in the direction of magnetic field. Diamagnetic substances were getting magnetized in opposite direction to magnetic field. They will get magnetized in the same direction of magnetic field. Okay, examples of paramagnetic substances are aluminium, sodium and potassium. Okay, and there are many other examples. I have taken just these three. Okay, so now let us again understand what is the explanation of these substances. Okay, so again we'll discuss about the two cases when external magnetic field is not there and when there is some external magnetic field. Okay, so in paramagnetic substances what happens, there are many atoms. Okay, so those atoms have some permanent magnetic dipole moment. Okay, so this particular arrow is showing you the atomic magnetic moments. Okay, so these are the atomic magnetic moments. But what happens when external magnetic field is not there? Those magnetic dipole moments are aligned in random directions, as you can see in this diagram. So if they are aligned in random directions, so we can say net magnetic dipole moment in the absence of external magnetic field will come to be 0. Okay, so now if I put in the direction, if I put this specimen of paramagnetic substance in the direction of magnetic field, so what happened? All those atomic dipole moments will get aligned in the direction of magnetic field. So we can say now we have got some magnetization in the direction of magnetic field, because in this case net was coming to be 0, but in this case we will have some net value obviously. So that means now these paramagnetic substances are magnetized in the direction of magnetic field. Okay. Okay, so now we'll discuss the properties of these paramagnetic substances. Now, although most of the properties are opposite to that of diamagnetic substances, okay, so they have tendency to move from weaker parts of the field to stronger parts. Obviously, because they are getting magnetized in the direction of magnetic field, so they will move from weaker part to stronger parts. Okay, magnetic field lines prefer to pass through them. Okay, so if this is a paramagnetic substance, magnetic field lines will prefer to pass through it because they are getting that. And one more thing, because it is getting weakly magnetized in the direction of magnetic field, so some of the magnetic field lines will pass through it, not all. Okay, so here we can see, as we have 5 magnetic field lines, only 3 are passing through it. Okay, so the third property, again B naught is the outside magnetic field, B is the inside magnetic field. Now as you can see here, B is greater than B naught. Okay, so if B is greater than B naught, that means mu r will be greater than 1 for paramagnetic substances. Okay, so now again fourth property, chi m is mu r minus 1. If mu r is greater than 1, that means magnetic susceptibility will come to be positive for for paramagnetic substances. And for these substances, magnetic susceptibility is inversely proportional to temperature. Okay. Okay, so our next third is ferromagnetic substances. Okay, so the next is ferromagnetic substances. Okay, so we define them when they are placed in external magnetic field, they get strongly magnetized in the direction of magnetic field. Okay, so example of these substances are iron, cobalt and nickel. Okay, so now what happens? See, diamagnetic substances were getting magnetized in the opposite direction of magnetic field. Paramagnetic were getting feebly magnetized in the direction of magnetic field, and ferromagnetic will get magnetized strongly in the direction of magnetic field. Okay, so now explanation of these substances was given on the basis of domain theory. By domain, here by domain we mean the group of atoms. Okay, so as you know, whenever a group takes place or a group does something that is very strong, so therefore the magnetization of ferromagnetic substances is very strong due to the domain present. Okay, so these arrow are donating you are showing you the group of atoms. Okay, so here we have magnetic moment of domains, that is group of atoms. Okay, so again in the absence of external magnetic field, what was seen that these magnetic moments of domains are oriented in opposite directions. So again we can say that net magnetic moment will come to be 0. But when we place this ferromagnetic substance in external magnetic field, all these magnetic moments of domain will point in the direction of magnetic field. So that means they will get strongly magnetized in the direction of magnetic field. So now on the basis of this domain theory, if we study the properties of these ferromagnetic substances, then the first property is that they have the tendency to move from weaker magnetic field to stronger magnetic field. Second is magnetic field lines passes through them. As in paramagnetic substances, only 3 lines were passing through that substance, but here all those 5 lines will pass through the ferromagnetic substance, because ferromagnetic substances get very strongly magnetized in the same direction of magnetic field. Okay, again mu r will be greater than 1. Again chi m will come to be positive and it will be very large in this case. Okay, so explanation is same as I have told you for other 2 substances. Okay, and chi m is inversely proportional to temperature for ferromagnetic substances as well. Okay, so now what happens if I decrease the temperature? Chi m will go on increasing. Okay, or I can say if I increase the temperature, chi m will go on decreasing. Okay, so as you know, chi m is very large for ferromagnetic substances and it is small for paramagnetic substances. So if I am increasing the temperature continuously, chi m will go on decreasing. So that means at a certain temperature, ferromagnetic substances will convert to paramagnetic substances, because chi m will go on decreasing and it will reach to a value which is same for paramagnetic substances. So that means at a certain temperature, ferromagnetic substances get converted to paramagnetic substances, and that particular temperature is called transition temperature or Curie temperature. Okay. Okay, so from this comes Curie's law. Next is Curie's law. Now, according to Curie's law, the intensity of magnetization is directly proportional to magnetic induction, that is B, and is inversely proportional to the temperature. Okay, so if we combine them, we will get I is directly proportional to B by T. Now, as you know, B is equals to mu H, that is B is directly proportional to H. So instead of B, I can write down here H. So that means I is directly proportional to H by T. Or cross multiplying it will give you I upon H is directly proportional to 1 by T. Now you know I by H is nothing but chi. So I by H is chi m, that means chi m is directly proportional to 1 by T, or we can say chi m is equals to C by T, where C is called the Curie's constant. Okay, so from here it is proved that chi m is inversely proportional to temperature. Okay? So from this Curie's law, if I plot a graph between I and h by t, as we have just proved that I is directly proportional to h by t, so as you increase this value, I will go on increasing. But as you can see here, this intensity of magnetization has become constant. So what is the reason for this constancy? Because this region shows that all the atomic dipole moments are aligned, and therefore I has reached to its maximum value. Because when all the atomic dipole moments will get aligned in the direction of magnetic field, I will reach to its maximum value. Then there will be no effect of increasing h by t. Okay, so this region shows you that all the atomic dipole moments have aligned already in the direction, so I will become now constant. Okay, so after studying these topics, you can do question number 16, 17 and 23 from your NCERT book. Okay students, now I'll discuss the homework solutions of questions that were given to you in lecture number 3. So in total 4 questions were given to you. So let us discuss question number 10 first. Okay, so the question number 10 says, a magnetic needle free to rotate in a vertical plane parallel to magnetic meridian has its north tip pointing down at 32 degree with the horizontal. The horizontal component of the Earth's magnetic field at the place is known to be 0.35 Gauss. Determine the strength of Earth's magnetic field. Okay, so first of all, a term is used here, magnetic meridian. So how we define a magnetic meridian? A plane passing through the north-south line of a freely suspended magnet is called magnetic meridian. Okay, so this plane here is called magnetic meridian. Okay, so now it is given that north tip points upward with the horizontal, points down at 22 degree with the horizontal. So as you know, horizontal component is the parallel to the Earth's magnetic field. So del will come to be 22 degree because it is pointing down with the horizontal. So del will come to be 22 degree. Horizontal component is given to be 0.35 in the question. Okay, now you are asked to calculate Earth's magnetic field. So now as you know, BH is B cos del from your theory. So just calculate B from here, that is BH upon cos del. BH as well as del is given to you. Put the values, you will get the answer to be 0.38 Gauss. Okay. Okay, in question number 11, it is given that at a certain location, compass needle points 12 degree towards magnetic north. Or 12 degree from the west of geographical north. Okay, and the north tip of the magnetic needle of a depth circle placed in the plane of magnetic meridian points 60 degree above the horizontal. So as in the question it is given, we are using a dip circle. That means that will give, dip circle is a device which gives you the value of angle of dip. So if it is pointing 60 degree above the horizontal, that means angle of dip is 60 degree. Okay, and as you know, the angle between geographical axis and magnetic axis is theta. So theta is given to be 12 degree west side. Del is given to be 60 degree. Horizontal component of Earth's component in the question, horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field is given in the question to be 0.16 Gauss, and you have to calculate the direction and magnitude of Earth's magnetic field. Again, we'll use the same formula. BH is B cos del. From here, you can calculate B. It will come to be 0.32 Gauss. Okay, and if we talk about the direction of Earth's magnetic field at that point, it is clear from theta and del only that Earth's magnetic field is in vertical plane 12 degree west of geographical meridian and 60 degree above the horizontal. See beta, here I am talking about geographical meridian. Okay, there again, what will be the geographical meridian? The plane which will pass through the geographical north and geographical south line. Okay, that will be geographical meridian. Okay, so if I am talking about geographical meridian in horizontal plane, therefore I am saying and 12 degrees above this. So Earth's magnetic field is in vertical plane 12 degree west of geographical meridian and 60 degree above the horizontal. Okay. Understand clearly in this diagram. See here, this will be the geographical meridian. My palm will be the geographical meridian because this will be a plane which is passing through geographical north and geographical south. Okay, so this line is 12 degree west of this geographical meridian. So the Earth's magnetic field is in vertical plane, that is vertical plane 12 degree west of geographical meridian and 60 degree above the horizontal, which is given in the question only. Okay. Okay, so the next question is question number 13. It says A short bar magnet in a horizontal plane has its axis aligned along the magnetic north-south direction. Okay. Now, null points are found on the axis of the magnet at 14 centimeter from the center of the magnet. Okay. So, null points are found at 14 centimeter on the axis of the magnet. Okay. So, as you know, on the axis of the magnet, we have calculated the value on the axial line. So, what was that value? That is mu naught upon 4 pi 2m upon r cube. Okay. It is also given in the question that the Earth's magnetic field at the place is 0.36 Gauss. Okay, Earth's magnetic field is given, and the angle of dip is 0. See, so from angle of dip to be 0, we can say, if we know V is, that is vertical component is B sine del. If del is 0, vertical component will also come to be 0. So that is vertical component is 0. At that place we have only horizontal component. So you can say 0.36 Gauss is nothing but horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field, because vertical component is 0 as del is 0. Okay. So this is the B axial mu naught upon 4 pi 2m upon r cube. Okay. And this is the null point at 14 centimeter from the center of that particular magnet. Okay. So we can say this total magnetic field is nothing but equal to horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field. And it is given then in the question, what is the total magnetic field on the normal bisector of the magnet at the same distance as the null point from the center of the magnet? Okay, so now why this is equal to horizontal component of Earth's magnetic field? Because null points, as I told you earlier, on null points net magnetic field should be 0. If this is the, we know this is the magnetic field on the axial line, and if that is null point, that means BH should be equal to it and opposite to it as well. Okay, so this should be equal to BH only. Now on equatorial line, you know the value of magnetic field is mu naught upon 4 pi m upon r cube, which is equal to BA upon 2, that is B axial upon 2, and B axial is equal to BH, that is it will come to be BH upon 2. Okay, so now total magnetic field line, total magnetic field on equatorial line. Okay, so now clearly see B axial and BH are equal in magnitude but opposite in direction. Okay, now you know B equatorial is also in opposite direction. Suppose understand it like this. Suppose this is the direction of B axial and this is the direction of BH. Okay, now as you know B equatorial is also in opposite direction of B axial. So B equatorial will also be like this only. So that means B equatorial and BH will be in same direction. Okay. So when you will calculate total magnetic field on equatorial line, that will come to be magnetic field at equatorial line plus horizontal component, because they are in same direction. Okay, so as we have calculated, B equatorial is nothing but BH upon 2. So B equatorial will be BH upon 2 plus BH. Calculated, it will come to be 3BH upon 2, and BH is given to be 0.36 in question. So it will give you 0.54 Gauss. So this will be the total magnetic field on equatorial line. Okay, so now question number 14 says, if the bar magnet in the above question is turned by 180 degree, where will be the new points be located? See, if your bar magnet is rotated by 180 degree, that means the neutral points would now lie on equatorial line, because initially they were lying on axial line, now they will lie on equatorial line. So that means now you know B equatorial is mu naught upon 4 pi m upon r1 cube. So for this question, BH and B equatorial will be in equal in opposite direction. That is BH is this, so B equatorial will be this. They will be equal in magnitude but now opposite direction. Only then it can be equatorial point line can be a neutral point. Okay. And from initial question, you know that BH is mu naught upon 4 pi 2m upon r2 cube. Okay, so this was also the null point, which is equal to H, and this is also equal to H previously. So that means these two should be equal. So if you put these two to be equal, and you know value of R2 is 14 centimeters as given in the initial question, so you will get R1 to be 11.1 centimeters.